Hey guys, Train Guy 4466 here, and today I'm going to do an Arizona Railroad tier list, so let's begin. Starting out with the F tier is Union Pacific. I'm not saying it's a bad railroad, it just gets too much recognition, and I think they're too famous, and they gotta give some other railroads a chance. They're not a Class 1 railroad, so the other smaller railroads can have some time to shine too. Not saying they're a bad railroad, it's just they're pretty overrated. Alright, on to the next ones. Arizona and California Railroad, also an F tier, and San Diego Arizona Railroad. They're just subsidiaries of Southern Pacific and Santa Fe. I don't want to bother even talking about them. Despite that they're short lines, they were soon absorbed by Santa Fe and Southern Pacific when the railroads just went bankrupt. Nothing too special about those railroads. Okay, on to the D tier, BNSF. It's slightly better than Union Pacific. It just has the same thing as Union Pacific, too much recognition. That's where the BNSF falls in, the D tier, because same thing, but not as bad. There are some railroads that were a BNSF subsidiary that BNSF was trying to get, but they just let those smaller railroads, how can I put this, not be absorbed. So BNSF's a little more laid back. So on to the next part of the D tier, Southern Pacific. For the Southern Pacific fans out there, I do like it. It's just very boring in my opinion. Nothing too special about it except the daylight cab forward. That's pretty much it. Nothing too special about it. Okay, into the C tier, we have Santa Fe. Much better than Southern Pacific, and actually had some pretty famous locomotives. Like, they had more famous trains, in my opinion. Ran through bigger cities like LA, Flagstaff, Santa Fe, somewhere in Texas like Dallas. They went through like the big cities of each U.S. state. So that's why they're slightly better. It's just that they kind of have too much recognition, but they don't have that much recognition as the other railroads in the lower tier. Okay, on to the next tier. This is the, no, Santa Fe should be in the B tier. What am I talking about? It's Grand Canyon. They seem to be much more popular than Verde Canyon Railroad because they have steam locomotives, and that's how they make more money off of steam locomotives. However, they don't run them that often at all, which is upsetting. I mean, when is Verde Canyon Railroad going to get a steam locomotive? Hopefully soon. Okay, now we also put into the we go to the where was I? Crap. We're gonna put Arizona Eastern in the B tier as well. It's all right. It's actually a decent railroad. They had their own steam locomotive at one point, which ran for like a short period of time, and then it just disappeared. Excursions disappeared in like within a matter of a couple of years, so that's why I think it's honestly a pretty good railroad. It's not a subsidiary, of either Southern Pacific or Santa Fe. So, alright, let's go on to the A tier. Arizona Central / Verde Canyon Railroad. When I went on that railroad, Verde Canyon in particular, I loved it. It was an awesome railroad. I mean, you could check out a beautiful landscape, and it wasn't very slow. I mean, fast. It wasn't fast like the Grand Canyon where you barely get to see anything. It was just very slow, very relaxing. So that's why I had to put Verde Canyon at the top tier. Despite that they have no steam locomotive program, I think that I must recommend Verde Canyon to get one. That'd be really, get a steam locomotive. Like one of their steam locomotives they had when they were one of the mining railroads was an little 060. I think it was sold to the Western Pacific, and then sadly scrapped. Alright, on to the next one. Southwest Forest Industries, a really awesome railroad as well. I have to give it some recognition because I think the line was cut up, and I feel really bad. No, I think, was it cut up? No, no, it wasn't cut up. It was just, I don't know. I think it was cut up, but I don't know. This railroad was pretty cool. This railroad also had the only surviving articulated steam locomotive in Arizona, so that's why I had to put it in the A tier as well. Now for the S tier, we go to the Magma Arizona Railroad. It's not a subsidiary of the Southern Pacific, instead its own railroad. It's epic, and it has all of its steam locomotives surviving today. And hopefully, engine number 6 in McCormick-Stillman gets restored and gets sent back to Superior so it can take tourists from the line from Superior to Magma Junction and back. Okay, on to the next one. One of my top railroads as well is the Apache Railway. Oh my goodness, this railroad is legendary. Although it ran through very small towns, it's very underrated. There's a ton of backstory. It's really awesome. But I have to put at the most toppest of top tiers the White Mountain Scenic Railroad. This was the first Arizona tourist railroad, and it should have stayed. It should have stayed if it weren't for the guys of sending it to Utah, the steam locomotives to Utah. Then it could have been more successful. I honestly think this railroad needs to return and do the same thing, starting McNary to Maverick. It's beautiful landscape, no ugly deserts. It's beautiful mountains and trees and grass. It's the railroad of my dreams. Okay, this is the end of the video. Tell me in the comments if you agree with me or disagree with me. I'm totally flexible about that. Alright, bye.